Hi, with your Affinity bundle, you received a little goodie bag of samples of brushes, styles, and assets. And so I just want to run through how to install those into Affinity. So these are primarily for designer. They will help you to make some creative little things on your own without having to resort to licensed graphics. So these are vector brushes. And I've already installed the fun flower stamps, but let me show you how to install the other brush set, which is the little geometric borders. So in the brushes window, you can click on this little hamburger in the corner here and scroll to import brushes. This will bring up your file explorer and you can navigate to the AF brush file that you want to install. Click open. And it's telling me it has imported successfully. Okay, and that's all there is to it. So now in this drop down menu I can find those border geometrics. So there's a couple different ways you can use this. One of them is to take the pen tool and just draw a line. These are vector brushes, so they're not paint brushes like you would expect in Photoshop or even in Procreate or something like that. These are vector brushes, so they're a little bit different. But you can just click any of these brushes and you can get these different borders. You can click on the color of the stroke and just switch it to whatever you want. Now, if you did want to change the size, you can go up to the stroke. This one in particular is already kind of maxed out, but you can make it smaller or bigger. The other thing to know about vector brushes is they don't corner well. So let's make a circle. Here's a circle. We'll take off the fill just for demonstration here. And let's go ahead and pick this triangle stroke here. And you can see this did okay. This looks pretty cool. That's looking okay. So curves, it's okay. But if we were to take a rectangle, let's say you wanted to do a frame border, you'll see it just gets really wonky around the corners. And so we can stretch this out and make it smaller, and it will look okay in the straight stretches, and it may look okay in the corners. We'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that, but it is just a little bit skewed looking. So if you did want to experiment with the corners, let's just get rid of this round one here so we can see it. You can double click on it, and right here where it says corners, you can just move this out of the way. We'll keep this selected and just go and click on these different options. So you can see kind of crazy things happen. This is maybe not too bad. Fold, and then overlap is terrible. So fold or pull, either one of those seem to do about the same thing. So you might need to experiment a little bit if you're trying to use it on something with hard corners. If you were going to do a frame border, I think what I would recommend is making straight lines and then aligning them down the sides and across the top and just kind of manually lining them up rather than trying to fill a square with these kinds of vector brushes. So have a little fun with those. Let's go ahead and clear this. Actually, let's get rid of this. We'll keep this line here. Let's move on to the styles now, and I'll just create a circle here and fill it just with any color here. All right, so let's go find the styles. So I'm going to go to View and Studio and click on Styles. That brings up my Styles window. Now, the styles that come preloaded with Affinity are kind of awful and weird. I mean, they do very strange things. Really not super practical for much of anything. Like even the gold, it's got a lot of different weird effects on it that are not super practical. The aluminum's not bad. That one's not bad, but it's still got some extra effects that we just don't really need. So I created some new glitter styles that are a little bit more subdued, as well as some glittery gradients. So let's import those. same thing. Go to the little hamburger window of the styles window, and we want to import a styles category. And it's going to navigate to our download, and let's go ahead and do the glitters, and we'll open, and there they are already. And so they'll be appearing in your drop down as the CA styles, Content Accelerator styles. So now that we've got this, we can see we've got some just more flat looking glittery, subtle glitters. And so I've got them in gold, silver, kind of a rose color, and a bronze. And then there's one that's a little bit more shimmery and one that's a little more flat. So let's get the other styles in. Let's import the styles category. And we've got some gradient glows. Gradient glitter might have been a better name. But we've got just different kind of slightly shimmery styles that go from one color to another in a little gradient. So one more tool for you to play around with in filling different shapes, and even text you can fill with these different styles. So the last thing that is included is some assets. So I made some buy buttons and different buttons that you can use on a website. So let's go to View, Studio, and bring up Assets. So over here, I'm going to go to the hamburger menu again, import assets, and click on the button assets file. And here they are. And so all you need to do is just drag these out and resize them to whatever size that you want on your artboard. So we'll drag this one out. So this one is grouped. So if you want to recolor this one, let's bring up our color menu here. Get this out of the way. We don't need the styles anymore. So let's say we wanted to recolor this. You have two choices. You can go into your layers menu and you can open up this group and you can find the pink button here, and then you'll be able to recolor it to whatever you want. The other thing that you can do is you can go to this node tool and you can double click on the element that you want to change the color. And so now that's selected just the white circle here, and I can change that color to anything that I want. And then we also have some watercolor buttons. So some of them just look like little stroke kind of buttons. And then one of them is more of a rounded filled one. So when you recolor these, they're going to blend with the original color rather than totally recolor. Let's move this guy out of the way and zoom in on this. So when I try and recolor this little watercolor guy, it's going to blend with the other color. So you can see that you can still see a little bit of a purple there where it blends. So you can come over here, you can play with the opacity a little bit, and you can also bring up the color wheel here and just kind of play around with the hue and, sorry, not the hue, but the saturation and intensity to kind of change that a little bit. So that's how you work with the little goodies that came with there, and I hope that that helps you in creating some fun stuff. And I will have some information and some videos coming soon on how you can make more of these yourself so that you can rely less on licensed graphics and more on things that you can actually easily make yourself, even if you're not an artist. Thanks for watching. All right, I'm back. I realized that I forgot to show you the second way that you can use stamp brushes. So let's go over to our brushes again, and I'm in the Fun Floral Stamps, and we'll just pick one of these brushes. And I'm going to go over here to the side where it says Vector Brush Tool, and we'll click on that. This is going to be a really huge stamp. And what I want you to notice is they're kind of crazy. you have to click and give just the slightest little drag. Clicking alone does nothing. If you drag too much, you're really going to distort. So it's a click with just a hair of a drag. But the good news is, if we look at our layers here, you would say, you know, why even bother? But we can get some nice ones. We got this one here and this one over here. And all the ones that didn't turn out, I'm just going to switch to the Move tool and hold Shift and just click on them and delete them. Get rid of this one too. So once you have your nice ones, you can go ahead and change the coloring if you want. You can treat them just like any sort of vector object here. So they do have some uses. They're not as, they're different in behavior than a pixel brush. So I just wanted to show you that little trick with the click and drag so that you don't get frustrated. Now, like I did show you, you can also just have them line a path. But if you wanted to have single stamps, that is how you achieve that.